Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Super Heavy Samurai Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for October 2024. We actually got some foil reprints for the Super Heavy Samurai deck out of the 2024 Megaton, and as I realized this, I wanted to, re-look at the deck just to rebuild it for the fact that we don't have Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow, a very, very good Link 1 for the deck, but still a very fun synchro deck that you can mess around with, and it's all monster mash playstyle that you're meant to do with the deck, not running any spell or traps for the consistency for some of the other Super Heavy Samurai card effects that we have in the deck, but still being able to use some other main deck monsters to help, fill in the place for the spell and trap lineup. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. Seeing the secret rare Super Heavy Samurai Prodigy Wakashi is what made me want to update the deck as well. I gotta get 2 more copies of this card. I really do like the max rarity we have for this card now available in the deck. If you have no spell traps in your graveyard, you can place 1 Super Heavy Samurai Pendulum in your deck, except for Prodigy Wakashi in your other Pendulum zone. Then special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Wakashi once per turn. And if you have no spell traps in your graveyard, you can discard 1 monster, special summon 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster from your hand or deck. In defense, also you can have special summon for the rest of this turn, except for Super Heavy Samurai monsters. And if this card is used as synchro material and added to your extract face up, you can place this card in your Pendulum zone. So this card helps to not only set up your Pendulum zone, it gives you a resource in the field to then summon out another monster, but then replaces it back again as your Pendulum Scale to then be able to summon out more Super Heavy Samurai monsters onto the field with a Pendulum Summon. Our other Pendulum monster that we usually want to place is our Super Heavy Samurai Monk Big Benkei. If you control a Super Heavy Samurai monster, you can add 1 Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Monk Big Benkei once per turn. So it's more search power in your Pendulum Scale, because this card can be once again set up with Wakashi in the Pendulum Scale. And if you have no spell traps in your graveyard, you can send 1 Super Heavy Samurai Big Benkei from your hand or deck to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand. If this card is used as synchro material and added to your extra deck face up, you can place it in your Pendulum Zone, which is great because it has the same card effect as Big Wakashi. Now, I don't have the original Big Benkei in the deck. If you want to run one, you can drop down 1 of the copies of Soul Piercer for a copy of Big Benkei. In the lineup, we don't really use the special summon option for Big Monk Benkei as much as we normally could. For that setup, it's mostly here just to add the Soul card and provide more of a Pendulum Scale setup for us to use in the deck. For our non-Pendulum Super Heavy Samurai cards, we're running 3 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Motorbike. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can discard this card to add 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck to your hand. Except for Motorbike, you can only use this effect of Motorbike once per turn, and once per turn you can target 1 machine monster you control and increase its level by 2. Being a level 2 tuner, you can also increase Motorbike's own level to make this a level 4 tuner when going for a synchro summon with 1 of our other cards. We're also running 3 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Wagon. When it's normal or special summon, you can change its battle position. This card can attack while face-up defense, and also, if it does, apply its defense for damage calculation. If you have no spell or traps in your graveyard, you can change this face-up card defense you control to attack position. If you do add 1 Super Heavy Samurai Soul monster from your deck to your hand, you can use this effect of Wagon once per turn, but having more search power for the different Super Heavy Samurai Soul cards we run is another big boost in consistency for us being able to use those Soul monsters for additional search and setup. Depending on the Soul monster that we want to search for, we have some of the better options like our Soul Peacemaker for the special summon play, or even just the special summon options of cards like Soul Gaia Booster also. Some of the lower numbers, we're running 2 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Scales. It's a special summon option in the deck, and then it can grab another Super Heavy Samurai from the graveyard back onto the field as well. You can grab the Motorbike that you just discarded. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, then you control no monsters. Summoning out your Scales off of the Motorbike that you may have used to search it off, summoning it back and then raising the level of Motorbike, or just keeping it as is to then go for a level 6 Synchro Summon. I also, for some of the other Super Heavy Samurai cards, 2 Super Heavy Samurai Stealthy, being a level 1 monster. If you have no spell traps in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Stealthy once per turn this way. If you have no spell traps in your graveyard, quick effect, you contribute this card to target a spell trap in your opponent's graveyard and set it to your field, but banish it when it leaves the field. So I would say it's a much more easier way to use cards like Warlord Susanoo Wo in the deck, just as a way to tribute and grab a resource that your opponent may have in their own graveyard for you to use use as your own. And also for the Super Heavy Samurai cards, 2 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Flutist. It has a tribute option to special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from your hand. I would say another way just to get out cards like Big Monk Benkei onto the field also using this card, and then having an option to negate the activation of a card that would target a Super Heavy Samurai card. By banishing Flutist from the graveyard, you can protect that card and destroy the card that attempted the target. For some other tuners in the deck, we're running 2 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Battle Ball, with this card being able to be used as a special summon of a Super Heavy Samurai Synchro monster whose total levels equal the 2 monsters, so we can use one of our opponent's resources, and it's treated as a Synchro summon, but we can get around some of the restrictions for our Super Heavy Samurai Extra Deck Synchros by using this card for that Synchro resource, as long as our opponent has the proper level monster for us to use with Battle Ball as well. And 2 copies of Trumpeter as just another tuner to be able to summon back onto the field as an easy special summon, having no spell or traps in your graveyard, and then when it's sent, being able to summon it back onto the field again as an additional resource. Lastly, before we get to the soul cards, 1 copy of Super Heavy Samurai Security. I was running this card at max numbers during the last update of the deck, but I decided to drop it down to 1. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 face-up Machine Pendulum from your extract to your hand. It's just a way to recycle the Wakashi, so I would say a better, late game card to use. And for the soul cards, running 3 copies of Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer. Now, if you wanted to, you could just run 2 and then put in a normal copy of Super Heavy Samurai Big Benkei in the deck to replace 1 copy of Soul Piercer, being able to target a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip it to that card, and then when it attacks a defense monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck to your hand. So search power for the good majority of the deck using this card. It was a great combo card with our Scarecrow, because you could just be a Link 1 setup, and search when we go into Scarecrow. Our other soul cards consist of 2 Soul Gaia Booster. You can target 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip this card from your hand to that monster, and also with this card, while equipped, is treated as a tuner, and if you have no spell traps in your graveyard, the equipped monster by this card's effect, you can special summon this equipped card, giving you another level 4 non-tuner resource on the field to use for your synchro plays. I have the 1 copy of Soul Peacemaker. It's searchable off of Wagon, but if you want to, you could additionally drop the copies of Soul Piercer for additional copies of Soul Peacemaker if you didn't want to run your Big Benkei in the deck. The 1 Soul Buster Gauntlet, along with the 1 Soul Claw and the 1 Soul Horn for a variety of options depending on the big damage you may want to do with your soul cards, or more or less just other special summon resources to get onto the field also. For our non-Super Heavy Samurai monsters, 3 copies of Swift Scarecrow. This card saved me more than enough times that I can count, just for the battle protection if our opponent is able to clear our board, and then just a response to one of their cards before their attack to give us 1 more fighting chance on the following turn. If you want to run Swift Scarecrow, you can always put Ash Blossom in for this spot, with my other hand trap being Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, a special summon negate for our opponent's monster effects that they may have on their field, and then additional damage to them, with the last of the main deck monsters being just a small Kaiju engine. It works fun with the Battle Ball being able to take away our opponent's Link monsters, giving them a Kaiju, and then taking away the Kaiju using our Super Heavy Samurai Battle Ball. And then for the extra deck, we're running a good majority of Super Heavy Samurai Synchros for the lineup. The 1 copy of Brave Masuwaro. It is draw power as well. With this card, you can draw until you have 3 cards in your hand if your opponent activates a spell or trap effect. If this card attacks while in defense, you apply its defense for damage calc. And if a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 Super Heavy Samurai card you control instead. So added protection using our level 12 Masuwaro. The Susanoo for the spell and trap copy ability of our opponent's card. Shuten Doji for the back row destruction, and the Sword Master Musashi level 5 synchro, being able to target a machine monster in our graveyard and add it back to our hand for more recycle power. And you got normal special summon monsters with its name for the rest of the turn, but it's add back power. Very, very similar to Sunlight Wolf for our Salmon Grade deck. For the rest of the Super Heavy Samurai is 1 Ninja Sarutobi, along with 1 Commander Shanoel, the 1 Beast QB, and the 1 Stealth Ninja. For all the other 1-ups, I would say the majority of the Super Heavy Samurais can be run at 1. When you make 1 copy of the Synchro, that's really all you're going to be going for the rest of them also. And then also the 1 copy of Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Shen Ying, the 1 FA Dawn Dragster, the 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, the 1 Scrap Dragon, the 1 Psyframe Lord Omega, with the rest of our synchros being the 1 Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon and the 1 Ascension Sky Dragon to have a level 10 target, since we don't have Baron de Fleur no longer to be able to use in the deck. But as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, it's set up really just for your synchro play using cards like Motorbike, as I said before, to be able to grab our Super Heavy Samurai of choice. We can grab Scales. If our opponent has more monsters than us, we can use it to then summon out Scales to the field. Then we can summon back the Motorbike off of the ability of Scales. You can raise the level of your Super Heavy Samurai monster, being able to then go into the level 8 option of our Commander Shanowo. Or if we want to destroy back row of our opponents, we can go for the Ogre Shutendoji. If you have additional special summon plays for your Super Heavy Samurais, you could raise the level of your Motorbike. But if you have cards in your hand, like your Super Heavy Samurai Soul Gaia booster, you can equip onto it, have that special summon option, and then have the level 12 or 10 option to then also be able to get out your bigger Super Heavy Samurai Synchro, depending on which one you want to summon out. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, wanted to update the deck. It's been over a year since the last update to the Super Heavy Samurais, and I hope you all enjoyed. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.